All right, so let's do some more factoring, this time with a minus sign in front of the b, which when you're factoring by grouping doesn't make a huge difference for us. We know we're factoring by grouping because there is a leading coefficient on x squared that is not a 1. So we start off by looking for a greatest common factor. With 24 minus 22 and 3, there is not one. So our first step is to do a multiplied by c. So a is 24. B is negative 22, and C is 3. So we do A times C. So 24 times 3 is, was that 72? Okay, so we're looking for two numbers with a product of 72 and a sum of negative 22. So that means we're going to have two negative numbers. The only way you could have a product that is positive and a sum that is negative is if you have two negative numbers. So two negative numbers that'll give us a sum of negative 22, but a product of 72. I have no idea. And I know 24 times 3 would give us 72 because we just did it, but that does not have a sum of 22. Negative 24 plus negative 3 is negative 27. But that's pretty close. So I want something that's around 72, around negative 24 and 3. Let's see, can 72 be divided by 4? I think it can, right? Wouldn't that be 18 and 4? Oh, that sounds good. Negative 18 times negative 4? I like that. That's positive 72. And then negative 18 plus negative 4 is negative 22. There we go. Negative 18 and negative 4. So what do we do with those two numbers? Well, that tells us what to split our b into so that we've got four terms. We want four terms because the way we factor these is factoring by grouping, and factoring by grouping requires four terms. So that minus 22x in the middle is going to become minus 18 minus 4. So minus 18x minus 4x plus 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and group them. Our first two are 24x minus 18x. Those have a greatest common factor. Well, let's see, 24 and 18 have a common factor of 6, and then they both have an x, so 6x, and that would leave us with 4x minus 3. And then negative 4x and 3 just have a common factor of 1. But because it starts with a negative, we're going to factor out a negative 1. So negative 1, leaving us with 4x minus 3. Remember, because we factor out a negative, the plus 3 changes to a minus 3. That's good. Parentheses are the same. They both have a 4x minus 3 for parentheses. What's left after we take out the 4x minus 3? 6x minus 1. And there we go. 4x minus 3, 6x minus 1. Done. Let's try this one. Is there a greatest common factor for 10, 23, and 12? No. So A is 10, B is negative 23, and C is 12. So we do A times C, which is 120. Oh, Lord have mercy. Two numbers that we can multiply together to get positive 120. But when we add them together, we get negative 23. Well, I know negative 10 and negative 12 will work because we just multiplied those. But negative 10 plus negative 12 is not, is not negative 23. It's negative 22. Dang, that's really close. So I want to try a number that's kind of close to negative 10. Let's see, will 9 work? No, but 8. 8 will work. 120 can be divided by 8. Negative 8 times, what would that be? Negative 5? Negative, let's see, that 15? Negative 8 times negative 15. Does that work? Yep, that's 120. Oh, hey, that does work. Negative 8 plus negative 15. Ah, aren't we smart? Cool. So our two numbers are negative 8 and negative 15. By the way, if you're wondering, if I have schizophrenia from talking to myself over here, the thought process is because adding negative 12 and negative 10 was negative 22, which was really close to negative 23, I wanted numbers that were really close to -10 and -12. So I wasn't going to pick numbers that were really far away from those two. So my first thought was 9. I wanted a number close to 10, so I thought 9, but 120 divided by 9 is not a whole number. So then I thought 8. Can 120 be divided by 8? And that was the combination that worked. So with 12 and 10 giving us -22, I did not want to pick numbers that were really far away. Like I wasn't going to do 30 and 4. 30 and 4 is 120, but I knew 30 and 4 were not going to add to 23. I knew I needed numbers close to 12 and 10. And so that's a strategy you can use when you're adding. If you add and you get a number kind of close to the one you need, your next combination you pick needs to be numbers that are close to the ones that you just used. Whereas if I had added numbers and they'd been really far away from -23, then my next combination I picked, I would pick numbers really far away from the two that I just picked. Okay, so -8 and -12, oh, sorry, -8 and -15 are the two that I need. So that -23x is going to become -8x minus 15x. The order doesn't matter, and now that I've written it, I sort of wish I would have put the -15x first because 10 and 15 have a nicer common factor than 10 and 8 do, but it doesn't matter. It'll come out the same either way. Wish I would have written them in a different order, but it'll come out the same either way. Okay, so 8 and 10 have a common factor of 2, and they both have an x, so 2x. And that'll leave me with a 5x minus 4. And then for the next pair, 15 and 12 have a common factor of 3. And because it's a negative, I'm going to factor out a -3. And that will leave me also with a 5x minus 4. So we know we've done it right because the parentheses are the same. So one set of parentheses is 5x minus 4, and the other will be 2x minus 3. And there it is, 5x minus 4 and 2x minus 3 is how we factor that second one.